What is going on, everyone? Welcome into BP Insight. So, you talk about how it's crazy how many, you take an attractive woman, how often she gets hit on just in her normal day. Like, it is kind of crazy. I remember I knew this girl, cute girl, and she was telling me, she had a boyfriend for a little while, and she was telling me about how when she was single for like a few days or a week, she's just talking about all these different random times she's getting hit on or just asked for, hit on, asked for a number, or said, someone said she's cute, someone says she's attractive. It's kind of crazy how when a woman becomes single, or not even if she's single, if she's just, an attractive woman, how many times she's hit on randomly in public, just in just the most random scenarios too. I mean, obviously, day-to-day life is kind of, obviously you are going to many different places in your day-to-day life, but it is kind of crazy. She's talking about the one time at the gym, a guy come up to her from behind when she was squatting or something and just say, "Hey, you look good." Or she's driving down the road, stopped at a stop sign, a dude rolls down her window and is like, "Hey, can I get your snap?" Or, it's just so many, random scenarios, driving in your car, at the gym, at work, there's just so many different ways. That's the thing. And, I heard this, someone made this point too, that you take, say you go to the gym tomorrow, you just look at, you see an attractive girl, you think, your mind, it's crazy. At least for me, I'm delusional in the sense that I don't think about, as men, we don't think about how many men have approached her, plan on approaching her in the future, and how many men she's currently talking to. Like, those three things don't always come to your mind. A lot of times you see an attractive woman, you're thinking, I have to go, should I approach her, and when is the right time to approach her? You're not thinking about those things, but those things are interesting to think about. For every attractive woman, there's hundreds of guys that have DM'd her. There's hundreds of matches on Tinder. There's 100 of random scenarios where they've asked her out. There's multiple ex-boyfriends. There's guys that she's going to talk to in the future. There's a guy that she's probably going to get married to, maybe have kids with, a couple guys that she might be married to at some point, multiple guys she has kids with. There's all these different scenarios. There's all these different, there's all these guys, that she's talked to in the past, that she'll talk to in the future, and that she's talking to currently in the present. It's just very interesting. But yeah, so let's talk about the gym and approach. So, I've went back and forth on this, and on TikTok, I said, one guy probably said it best. If you're going to approach a girl in the gym, all the signs have to be there. I think that's the best way to put it, that all the signs need to be there. Because if you do, I've noticed that if you do approach when she's not, like, say she does give you a couple looks, if you do approach, what I've tended to notice is they don't, sometimes they can kind of be, they'll give you the, what, not necessarily what do you want, but they're like, they're trying to, they act a little bit surprised, but it was more so they just wanted to look at you, get the attention and validation. It was not necessarily a look of, hey, I'm trying to show interest to you. I want you to approach me. As more so, I want the attention. I want the validation of you looking at me, type of thing. So that's what's interesting. But I said, someone made this point. A lot of times, if I had talked about this before. A lot of times, you talk about, women's standards are getting higher and higher. So, but deep down, is that a good thing? That women are, setting higher and higher standards. Maybe not, obviously you don't want them to have too high standards, but having high standards, women pick the winners. I think that should be the extra incentive men need to continue to improve. That's why all these men's dating channels, men's self-improvement channels are really exploding, just because men have to get better if they want to compete in the marketplace, in the sexual marketplace. Women pick the winners. That's the thing. You take an attractive woman, like we talked about. There's so many guys who are inboxing her on Instagram, Tinder, dating apps. It's really crazy when you think about it. So, if you want to compete as a man, you have to continue to improve, get your money, get your looks, status, get all these things on point, continue to get better and better, so you have a chance out there in the field. So let's talk about let's talk about approach. The approach. So, the approach is, I think when you're out in public and you see an attractive woman that you want to approach, I think obviously the first thing is you can't hesitate. You got to just go right up and start talking to her. But you really have to read body language to see if she's interested. And the number one thing you want to look for is she open. If she starts crossing her legs, her body language, and she moves, turns like her legs and feet away from you, that's a sign of disinterest, closed off body language. So you want to look for open body language. That's the first thing I've noticed. Try to notice when I'm talking to a female is are they open? Their arms aren't crossed, legs aren't crossed. Are they open? Is it open body language? So, but that's just one thing you want to look for. You don't want to look too deeply on some of these body language cues, because you can really start to overthink things. But yeah, that's crucial. That open body language is big. And what I've noticed is sometimes they can act like they can listen to what you're saying. They can smile, act like they're interested, but they do have their arms crossed, or they're kind of looking away from you, or they're not really paying much attention. They're checking. They've checked their phone once during the conversation. That all those are indicators of disinterest. All those are That's the thing. I think guys mistake, just because a woman's friendly with her, that she is, completely at that point that she likes you, is interested. Not always the case. Even if she can be talking to you, telling you a story. You guys can crack some jokes, and it doesn't always equate to interest, to any sort of level of interest. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting approaching. There's all sorts of different scenarios and things that happen when you approach. The most common rejection is, "I have a boyfriend." That's really the go-to rejection. Is, "I have a boyfriend." It's actually rare. Most women are very nice, polite, respectful when you approach. It's pretty rare that you will get any sort of attitude. That's the thing. I think that's the misconception with a lot of men, is they believe that the woman's going to give them attitude. Those scenarios are just so rare. That's just very unlikely. Like, maybe that happens maybe once, 2 times out of 100 approaches. Maybe you'll get some sort of attitude. But even then that woman's just would not be a good fit for you. So okay, let's say for the hypothetical approach, let's say you want to approach at the gym. So at the gym, if a woman, if you're working out and a woman comes and works out by you, a lot of the women that are interested in you, they kind of start, say you're on the bench, and then you move to doing like one of the machines. If they come near you on the machines, usually that's a sign that there's some sort of attraction, some sort of interest there. So that is that can be a green light, especially if they give you eye contact, look at you and smile. that could be a green light to approach. When I approach in that case, I really just start to, I really will just, sometimes I'll just start, what exercises are you doing today? Are you working legs? It's funny. There was one time I approached a girl who was squatting, and after she, in between sets, when you want to approach is, not obviously during mid set, I was like, "Are you working legs today?" She's like, "Yeah, I'm working legs today." A little bit of sass, but I thought it was funny. But that's kind of like the 1, 2 out of 100 scenarios where they will give you just a little attitude, a little bit of sass. But those are very rare. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen too often. But that's yeah. I mean, the gym. So you want to comment, ask what you're working, ask what their workout is today, or just you can comment about something going on in the gym. Ask if they're a member. Ask. You can ask whatever. How often do you lift here? Do you belong to any other gyms? Just something casual like that to start a conversation. And then if you sense interest, you can get her number, or yeah. I there was one day I asked a girl to spot me, which is fine, but sometimes that's a little, sometimes it's a little bit too indirect, because if their goal is to get a number, potentially hang out, they could just be genuinely thinking that that you just want to spot them, that you generally just needed help with the lift, and they're not really that you're not really interested in moving, in a potential date, hangout, or anything other than that. But it's interesting. I was listening to Benjamin Zeta yesterday, and he was talking about, he used to be Jesus, he used to be the guy who does the cartoon voices on YouTube, teaching dating, approach tips, stuff like that on the Jesus channel. He was talking about how, women actually want men to approach. And I agree with this, but also, that is true, but also it's one of those things where you have to keep in mind that they do, but also women will give you signals, or that you think are signals to approach, and you approach and they're actually really not interested, or actually they can give you signals to approach, and turns out when you're talking to them, they just don't like you, and they're really not all that interested. So that's the thing. You kind of have to, that is true, but you also kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, that, because most guys, and myself included, gets an idea and kind of just runs with it. You have to understand that, just because a woman, puts herself in your vicinity, looks at you, makes eye contact with you, you have to understand that just because those things happen, that's not a guarantee that you're going to go up. She's going to be smiley, bubbly, give you her number, surefire, and it's guaranteed. It's a date to Dave and Buzz. There's still not a guarantee. It's more so, basically, I was always confused with choosing signals. Basically, are just an invite to approach. It's the green light. It's a woman giving you the green light to go approach. It is basically what choosing signals are. But yeah, and he made the point of, a lot of times women aren't going to be, they're not going to be super comfortable right when you talk to them, just because, especially if you're doing a cold approach, just because, you are a stranger. She doesn't know who you are, which is true. So there is, I think I would say that is true, that women who do like you, women are interested, attracted, they do have a little bit of a guard up when you first approach them, just because, they have no idea who you are. And, part of that is, when you get there, sometimes you get a number with a woman, she'll follow you on Instagram, she'll follow you on social media. Really, what they're doing in that case, they're really just trying to check out, see what you're all about. I think that, the one girl, I got her number. She thought I was really attractive. She had told my coworkers. I think what that was all about is, some women, when they see you, when they think you're very attractive, they want to check your social media to see, what's going through their mind is, this guy is super attractive. I wonder, is he have some sort of status and big influence on social media? If in my mind, I find him that attractive, he must have some sort of maybe a mass following. A lot of people that really kind of gravitate to him. Is there something about this guy, him being so good looking in their minds anyway? So that's part of that. That leads me to another point. Just because a woman asks for your social media does not mean she's interested. She can ask for, a lot of times if she just asks, or I'd say a lot of times, pretty much probably 99.8, 99.9% of the time, if she asks for an Instagram, she's just not. If she asks for the Instagram, pretty much only, she's not really interested. She's not even really interested. She's not interested, or I'd say, she's not really interested, because you got to think, if a woman is really all that attracted to you and she really likes you, she doesn't need just an Instagram. She's gonna ask. She'll just get your number, contact you, and go on a date with you and hang out with you. She does not need to check out your social media. That's when they ask for the social media. That's because they really only find you somewhat attractive, not really all that attractive, and they don't really like you all that much. They're just trying to get in. They're just trying to. They just want to go on your social media and see if you had any sort of status influence. Then they might give you a chance. Yeah, I remember a woman asked for that, and I immediately knew that she was not. That's how I knew she was not interested, just because it's. If they're really all that, or I knew that if she really liked me, she was really all that attracted to me, she just would have texted me, and we would have been able to set up a date. So I think that's something key and important to understand. But yeah, I think, one thing I've noticed is, guys talk about, guys have confidence issues, and, I would say, it's been talked about, a lot of these guys have confidence issues because you're not really doing anything up until you approach that woman that would give you confidence. And what I mean by this is, if you're an average guy, broke, maybe you're shorter, maybe you're not always the best groomed dress. If your money's not on point, your looks aren't on point, you're not hitting the gym hard enough, you're not, you haven't established any sort of status in influence either online or in your community, then it's kind of hard to, just by default, you probably don't have a lot of confidence anyways, because with some of with the looks, money, status, influence, with the main components missing, it's kind of hard to, you're almost, if you do have confidence as a man, it's almost, a lot of times it's probably just delusion. So, yeah, a lot of guys, the confidence, their inner confidence comes from, them achieving success in the gym, them getting their money on point, them starting a successful YouTube channel or TikTok or building a outstanding Instagram page. A lot of that confidence as a man comes from those successes. So when they don't have those successes, then that's what can really that's what really affects a man going up and talking to a woman. And that, I heard this take the other day. You can I think a lot of men wear their success on their sleeve. And what I mean by this is, when you are putting all those hours at the gym and you're grinding and you're getting better, people can, interact, like an interaction with women is not as big a deal at that point. I think, when you play video games all day, you don't go to your job, what happens is that approaching that woman, that just amplifies the pressure on that. And you're not thinking, the mindset goes to, how do I get her, instead of, once you're hitting the gym so hard and you're making money so well, it flips from I'm the man to, okay, well, I just played video games all day. I know I don't really have much to offer as far as accomplishment. So, that chick's really attractive. She has all these options. You start thinking stuff like that, and your confidence can even get even lower, and you really start to question a lot of things. So that's the thing. If you are really a man that's building himself up, you've understood that, all those hours in the gym, all those hours building your channel, all those hours have really accumulated to you slowly building up confidence, you building up a belief in yourself, and you just not caring if she rejects you, not caring even if she decides to go on the date with you. That's the other thing you got to think. You can't get, if a woman agrees to go on a date with you, you can't get too excited about it. You can't get too giddy. You can't, to me, I've struggled with one-itis. If a girl gives you your number, then you immediately, kind of start thinking about going on dates with her. You cannot get one-itis in dating. You really have to continue to you really have to continue to work, and you continue have to focus on other women, pursuing other women, pursuing success. You can't just, once you get a number, get excited, take a night off, take a day off, go on and then go on a date 3 days from now. So you really have to just stay level-headed after you have a good interaction and get the number. And you can't focus too much on chasing. If you start to get in that vivacious cycle of chasing and chasing and chasing, it can become very detrimental, not only at times to your mental health, but also your finance can suffer, and your relationships can suffer. It is you do not, nothing. You realize nothing really good comes from chasing. That's the thing. You ever go to the bar, club, or gym? Like, if I've noticed that the nights you go trying to, with the mindset, I'm going to pursue women, I'm going to chase women, I'm going to talk to a bunch of women, you notice those are some of the worst night outs you have, just because, I didn't always believe this, but women can sense when you are really desperate and you're really chasing and you're really trying to game them and get them to sleep with you. Women can sense this stuff. They really have a good sense for desperate men. So that is just something to keep in mind. But yeah, bars, clubs are always interesting interactions. Night, day game versus night game. Different. They're just different sort of scenarios. A lot of different sort of scenarios that can happen. I think, day game. Someone asked me, which one's harder. We were discussing which one's harder. I think that's an interesting question. To me, it kind of, I guess the answer, the simple answer, I guess the boring answer is it depends. It really depends, which is harder. I would say, probably day game's harder, but night game is, night game, you have a potential to get more, phone numbers, more women interested, just because there's a lot more women that are open to interactions from men. But yeah, day game, just presents a challenge because it's a lot of women that are focused on, daily tasks. That's the one thing people have talked about. You see a woman during the day at a grocery store, retail store, or in the park walking her dog. She's really focused on that task at hand. She's really, her mind is not in the state of approaching dealing with men, as opposed to when the dynamic goes to a nightclub, a lot of women are going out just to, simply to meet men, be open to meeting men. So it's a lot more women that, even if they're not all that attracted to you, not all that interested in you, they are open for interaction. Women during the day, sometimes you approach them, it's not that they're not open for interaction. They are just, they're closed off enough that it's just like, it's really a no-go. It could be they're having a bad day, someone hit their car, their dog's sick, something like that. There's just a lot of scenarios why they would be closed off. But yeah, I'm going to wrap with that. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of BP Insights. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.